Hey guys, and welcome back. I'm Steven from Tech Overseas. So if you have watched my two previous videos, you've seen that we have built a very simple website in order to sell our goods and services online. Now, in the first video, we have built a user authentication. In the second video, we have focused on implementing Stripe payment and also building a very simple account management page. Now, in this video, we are going to deploy our application on DigitalOcean, and I'm going to show you everything that you have to know from creating a container registry, creating a PostgreSQL database, because we are going to migrate from SQLite to PostgreSQL, and also pushing your application to DigitalOcean in order to deploy it. Now, before we get started, and if you haven't watched my videos, I want to show you how the website currently looks like. It's very simplistic, but it does the job. So the first thing that we're actually going to do is to log in on our account. So we click on login, and now we have two ways to actually log in. We have the email address, or we have Google authentication. Now, I'm not going to show Google authentication in this video. If you want to watch this, go to my previous video and I show you all about it. So we go to our disposable email, we grab our email, and now we are going to authenticate with the email address. You click on send magic link, and it's going to send you an email, and in this email we are going to have our magic link. Now we received our email, we click on it, and now we have a link, we can open it, and now as you can see we are logged in. So we have our order history, so we don't have any orders just yet. We go to the home page, and now if we scroll at the bottom, you can see that we have 4 products. So I'm going to click on smart accessories, so I'm going to buy this product. Now when you click on buy, it's going to redirect you to a Stripe checkout page. So again, we are going to put our email, we are going to put the Stripe success card, which is the 424242. For the expiration date, you can put any date in the future, and for the CVC, any 3-digit number will do it. Now I'm going to put my name, and I'm going to put the country France. So when you click on pay, it's actually going to redirect you to the account management page, and as you can see, we have our order history, and we have our order with our product, quantity, total, and date. So like I said, it's a very simple implementation, but it does the job. So we were able to sell our goods online using Stripe payment. Now in this video, what I'm going to do, I actually want to deploy the application. So what we are going to do, we are going to go in cursor, and we are going to open the composer feature. So we press Command Shift and I have actually prepared a prompt that I'm going to paste here. So I want to deploy my application to DigitalOcean. Follow the below instructions. Create a Docker file in order to start my application on port 3000. Migrate from SQLite to PostgreSQL. Generate a GitHub action workflow. So for this, I'm giving more precision. The workflow should run on any push to the main branch. The workflow should use the latest version of Ubuntu. Export all GitHub secrets into an env production file. Install doctl, which is the DigitalOcean CLI, and authenticate using a secret variable. Log into the DigitalOcean container registry. Build a Docker image and use the newly created .env production file. And finally, push to the DigitalOcean container registry using a secret variable and the tag latest. So I'm going to press enter, and as you can see right now, I'm not giving any context to the prompt. I'm only using @codebase so that Cursor AI is aware of every single file in our codebase. So as you can see right now, it's creating the Docker file, it's changing the schema, it's creating a deploy.yml file. Now let's go in the Docker file. As you can see, it's using node 18, so it's fine for this project. If you want, you can update, or you can ask Cursor AI to actually use node latest version, but for now it looks okay. So we are copying the package JSON and the package log. We install the dependency, we copy the application, we build, and then we start the application. Now on schema, we actually migrate from SQLite to PostgreSQL, and this database URL is actually going to come from DigitalOcean, but I'm going to show you in a second how you grab this URL. In the deploy YML, we use Ubuntu latest. This is good. Now we create an env production file. This is also good. We install our docstl. We have the doctl that we use to log in. We build the image and we push to the registry, and we also use the tag latest. This is good. Now, as you can see, my app, this is actually going to be the name of your container image. So this you can change if you want, or you can just leave it like this. We are going to change it, but I'm not going to ask AI to change it for me. I'm going to do it myself. In the package JSON, it has created next start. I believe I had it already, but I'm going to check. So this looks good for now. Now the changes that I'm going to I'm going to make them on a file basis, because I don't really want to go through the whole thing again. So I'm going to accept all the changes, and then we are going to go through file by file. So here, for example, I'm going to do Command A and then Command K. Can you run the Prisma command? So hopefully it's going to add npx Prisma generate. And also I'm going to say, can you update the DB as well? So it actually runs the npm Prisma DB push. So in this case, this. DB push is good normally for development. In production, you will have to create some migrations. I'm not going to do this in this video because DB push is fine in my use case. It's a very simple application, but know that normally you would need to use npx prisma migrate deploy. And prior to this, you would have to create some migrations. I will put a link in the description so you can actually go through the steps in order to create the migrations. So now I'm going to click on accept. I'm going to save. So we are good. Now in the deploy, we have our end production. This is good. My app. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to rename this into SaaS. Okay. The schema is also good. So now as you can see, we are set up for the changes. So like I said, it was very quick. It was very simple and just took a few seconds and we are good to go. Now the biggest part is to actually go on DigitalOcean and then set up everything. So what we are going to do, we are going to create a new project. We are going to create a new hosted database, and we are also going to create an app platform in order to deploy our application. So what will happen when we push to GitHub, this deploy.yml file is going to create our Docker image, and then we are going to push the Docker image to our registry, and this will automatically create an image on DigitalOcean. Now on DigitalOcean, when we create our app in app platform, we can actually link the app platform to our container registry in order to get automatically redeployed every time we change the image and every time we push to GitHub. So this is something that we are going to do. So now let's get to the setup, and I'm going to show you everything that you have to do. So the first thing, we are going to go to GitHub and you're going to click on the settings of your repository. And now you go in the secrets and variable and you click on action. Now what you have to do, you actually have to create every single environment variable that you were using in development, but this time we are going to use them for production. So now as you can see, I have already created a bunch of environment variables. So our database URL, our DigitalOcean access token, our DigitalOcean registry, and so on and so on. So for the database URL, we are going to go on DigitalOcean. I have created a specific account and specific project for this video. Now what we are going to do, you go on database and we are going to create a new database cluster. So now you click on create database cluster and you will have to go through a bunch of configuration that will go together. And I'm going to show you that it's very easy and quick to set it up. So the first thing that we are going to do, we are going to select a data center that is next to us. So for me, I'm going to select Frankfurt. So this one. Then what we are going to do, we are going to select PostgreSQL. You can select any version, but I'm going to take the version 16. Now, in our case, we are going to keep regular SSD. We are going to keep a very small and regular plan. Now 10 GB of storage is fine. You can rename your database cluster, but I'm going to leave it as it is. If you have multiple projects under the same account, you have to click here and then select your project. For me, I have only one, so I'm selecting SaaS. I don't need any tag and it's all good. So I click on create database cluster. It's going to take a few minutes in order to create, but we will go through the rest of the flow and I'm going to show you the rest. Now let's go back on our GitHub environment variable. And you have DigitalOcean access token. So for this, what you have to do, you have to go here on the left-hand side and click on API. When you're on the API section, we are going to create a token in order for our GitHub action to log into DigitalOcean and also push our image to our container registry. So when you're here, you click on generate token. Let's give a name of SaaS, for example. I'm not going to go through the scopes and everything. You can go through this on your own. For this project, I'm going to grant an expiration of 90 days and I'm going to give full access of everything. So I'm going to click on generate token. Once you have this token, it's going to pop here so you can actually copy the token. You go back on your GitHub settings and then you edit your token or you add your token if it's the first time you're doing this. So let's add the token. Let's update the secret. Now let's check whether the database has finished creating. So we can go on database and we can check our newly created cluster. Okay, so now the database has finished created. So you can click on it and we are going to go through a small setup. So here you end up on a page and you click on get started. So now for the trusted source, we are not going to add any trusted source for now. The trusted source will come later when we create our app platform. We actually want our application to have access to our database, and this is where we are going to link our app platform to our database. But for now, we can actually skip. Now, this gives you your database connection details and all the information. We are going to grab this in a second. So now we can continue. This we don't need. We can say, great, I'm done. So now when you're here, what you're going to do, here you have connection parameters. You can select connection strings. Then you click on show password and you're going to grab the entire string. Now you go back on your GitHub environment variable, and in your database URL, you click on edit or you create a new one, and then you paste your database URL. So this is using PostgreSQL. So now we are good. So now we can actually click on App Platform. And so App Platform is where we are going to deploy our application. Now, the next thing that we have to do is to actually go in the container registry in order to create a container registry that will host our Docker images. So you click on create a container registry. Now we are going to give a name for our container registry. We are going to call it, for example, SAS images. And then we are going to select our data center, which is the same that will be used for our database cluster. Now we keep the starter plan and we click on create registry. Once the registry is done, at the top, you can see that you have registry.digitalocean.com, and then you have the name of your registry. So you're going to grab the name of your registry. You go back on your GitHub environment variable. So you can go here, you can go on action, and then in your DigitalOcean registry, you either edit or you add a new DigitalOcean registry. You can paste, make sure there is no spaces, and then you can click on update secret. Now, once this is done, you're almost set up. Now we are going to go in GitHub desktop in order to see our changes. So as you can see right now, we have our deploy.yml file. So we have the Ubuntu latest. We create our end production file with all the GitHub environment variable. We install our DigitalOcean CLI. We build the image and then we push our image. Now for the Docker file, same thing. We are running all the Prisma commands and then we build and then we run the app on the port 3000. And for our Prisma, now we are using PostgreSQL, and the database URL is now the one that is hosted on DigitalOcean. So now that we are good, we can actually rename and say production flow, and we can commit to main and then we can push to origin. Now what you are going to do, you go back on your GitHub account and you're going to click on action, and now you're going to see your production flow action. So you can click on the production flow action and then you can click on deploy, and it's going to give you the whole flow where we are creating the end production file, we are installing the DigitalOcean CLI, we are logging to DigitalOcean container registry, we are building the Docker image, then we are going to push the Docker image. And as you can see, you have a step-by-step history of what is happening. So let's just wait a few seconds. Now it's installing all the packaging, it's running the npx prisma generate and npx prisma db push. Now we have an error, and the reason, let me check. Error validating data source DB. The URL must start with the protocol PostgreSQL or Postgres. Oh yeah, okay, I know why. So in here, we actually have to say, can you please pass the newly created .env in the arg of the docker build command. So now what it's going to do is going to create a build argument for our Docker build, and it's going to pass our newly created end production file. So we can accept, we can save. Now, when we go in our Docker, what we can do, we can select everything, Command K, can you use the argument end file from the Docker build arg command. Now we press enter, and what it's going to do is going to actually set the argument end file, which is passed here in our Docker build. And what we are doing, we are copying the env.production inside our .env. So we can save, we can accept this, we can save. Now let's go back to GitHub desktop. We are going to pass env production as argument. We are going to commit to main, and then we are going to push to origin. Now we can go back on GitHub, we can go back on actions. And as you can see, we have a new action. So we can click on the action, we can click on deploy, and then we can see what's happening, and hopefully it has fixed the issue. So now it's creating the end production, it's installing the DigitalOcean CLI, we are logging into the DigitalOcean container registry, it's building our Docker image, and now hopefully it's going to work because it's actually going to use our end production, which has the PostgreSQL connection string. So let's wait a few seconds and we are going to see if it resolved the issue. Now, one more thing, when you go on the deploy.yml, the reason why we don't have a random tag here is because in DigitalOcean, our app platform is going to be built on specific tag. However, if you push again, it will create a new tag. And so the tag that was associated with our app platform is not going to allow redeploying our application. And that's why we used a fixed tag for this project. Now let's go back on our GitHub website, and as you can see, the job has finished and now everything is complete. So we can go back on DigitalOcean, and as you can see now in our container registry, we actually have our image. So our image we can expand, and as you can see, it has the tag latest and it was actually pushed 44 seconds ago. So now what you have to do, you actually have to go in app platform. And so when we are going to create our app deployment, what we have to do, we have to select our container registry. So here in the source provider, you're going to click on DigitalOcean container registry. You're going to click on create app, and then it will ask you which one you want to choose and which tag specifically you want to use. So here we can use the SAS image SAS. Now it's going to ask us to select a tag. So as you can see here, we need to use the latest tag because every time we push to GitHub, it's going to use the same exact tag instead of a random tag. So now we want to auto deploy every time an update is made to this image. So we can click on next. Now we don't want to associate any resource. We can click on next. Here we can click on next, and so here we need to verify everything. So as you can see here, the region is Singapore, so we actually want to select our Frankfurt region. We want to save. This is good, and now we can click next. We can review everything. So we have the name of our application, we have the region, and we have our project. And we can actually click on create resources. Now our application is actually created, and as you can see, the first time it's actually going to deploy your application. And so when the deployment is done, when you go in the settings, you will see that here you will have an automated domain that will be associated with your application. However, later you can override this domain and you can customize with your own domain, but we're not going to cover this. We are going to use the domain that they will assign to us. And as you can see right now, we have our domain. So now that this is good, there are a few things that you actually have to do. So the first thing that you have to do, let's actually take this website URL, let's copy it, and let's go on our GitHub account. Let's go back in our settings, and now what you have to do, you go back in the secrets and variable, you go in actions, and in your next public app URL here, you're going to edit this, or you create it, and then you paste your website URL. So you put https semicolon / and you put your website URL. So you update the secret. Now, one more thing that you have to do, you also have to update this website URL in Stripe, because remember, we are using the webhook in order to create the order and in order to send the email. So you go in Stripe. For this test, I have left the test keys in production. However, in production, obviously you will have to use production keys. But the thing is, if I want to show you the application, I still want to use the test credential. So here you go in developer, you go in the webhook. And so for now, I have actually created a dummy webhook URL, which is https myapp.com API webhook. So you click on it, you're going to click on the three dots and you're going to say update the details. And now here you can actually remove your dummy URL, and then you can paste your real URL. So it's https, your URL, API webhook, and we are still catching the checkout session completed. So you can say modify the endpoint. Now, once this is done, there is just one more thing that we have to do, and it's to actually redeploy our application, because as you saw, we have actually changed our next public app URL. However, our environment production file still uses the old next public app URL. So what you can do, you can actually go on your GitHub desktop, you can go on history, you can click on amend commit, and then you can actually amend last commit, which will actually force repush to your repository. So it will create a new action and it will actually use the new variable. So we can go in action, we can see that it has created a new workflow. We can click on deploy. Now it's going to go through the whole flow again, and it's going to recreate the end production using the new environment secrets that we have created. And then it's going to rebuild your image and it's going to push your image. And once this is done, the application will be finally live and we'll be able to test our application. So now, as you can see, we actually have an error on our image push, and it says quota exceeded. So what we have to do, we have to go back on DigitalOcean, we have to go in container registry. And so we actually have to upsize our container registry because we were using the free plan. So as you can see here, we have 76% for one image. So 2 images is actually going to go over. So what we can do here, we can actually go in the settings, and then in our plan, we can edit the plan and we can take the basic plan for $5. So we're going to click on save. Now it's going to increase our allowance. So let's go on repository. And now as you can see, our only one image is only 7%. So we can go back in our GitHub workflow, and then we can click here and then we can rerun all the jobs. So it's actually going to go through the whole workflow again. It's going to log into DigitalOcean, build the image, and so on and so on. So let's click on our deploy and let's wait a few minutes in order for the jobs to actually complete. Okay, so now as you can see, the workflow has completed successfully. So we can go back on DigitalOcean and then we can see that now we have actually two images. So we have our latest image, which was pushed 20 seconds ago, and then we have an archived version, our old latest image. Now, if we go on app platform, you're going to notice that our application is going to redeploy. So we click on our application, and as you can see, it's actually going to redeploy. So let's wait for this. And once this is complete, we can actually test out our application because our application is fully done. So as you can see right now, our application is live and running. So we can click on live app, and it's going to redirect us to our application. And as you can see right now, our application is deployed and it's running. So let's go ahead and test the flow. So we can click on the login. Again, we can go on our disposable email. Let's grab this. Let's paste our email. Let's send the magic link. And as you can see right now, everything works. The magic link is sent. Now we have received the email, so we can click on it. And now what we can do, as you can see, we can actually click on login. And it's going to redirect us to our application. It's going to verify the token. It's going to log us in automatically. Now we can actually test the Stripe integration. So we can click on the homepage. Now at the bottom, we are still going to see our 4 products. So I'm going to buy the super tool. So click on buy now, and it's going to redirect us to the Stripe payment page. Again, we can put our email, we can put our test card. So remember, yeah, for this implementation, I have left the Stripe test keys. However, in your case, you will have to use the Stripe production keys, okay? But I still want to show you the payment, so I'm using the test keys. So now for the expiration, again, you're going to use a date in the future, the CVC, any 3 digits. You're going to put your name and then you're going to put your country. Now, if I click on pay, you're going to see that it's going to redirect me to my account page and it's going to create a new order and then send me an email. And the reason is because in our Stripe developer here, we have actually updated our webhook with the new URL. Now, if I refresh the page, we have our checkout session completed, and then we have all our information with our client reference ID, which is our customer from the database. And we also have our metadata, which is the product ID, because the customer has actually bought the product number 3. So when we go back on our application, you can see that we have the order history with our order ID, product quantity, total, and date. So as you can see right now, it was very easy and it was very simple to actually deploy our application on DigitalOcean. So App Platform is a rather new service from DigitalOcean. Now, this is the end of this series. I really wanted to show you how easy and simple it is to create a prototype and then sell goods or services online. Now, I hope you like this series. I hope you like this video. If you have any questions or if there is anything you would like me to cover next, let me know in the comment below. Thank you for watching, and until then, happy coding.